Have you ever wondered why there are women who don't need to be particularly beautiful, skillful, or even stand out in a crowd, yet still leave an unforgettable mark on a man's heart? They are not the hot type that makes people instantly gasp in admiration, but rather the type that lingers in someone's mind once he gets home, so that the next day he unconsciously thinks of her again. That allure is neither loud nor easy to grasp. It is like a faint fragrance that passes by yet haunts for a long time. Carl Jung, the master of depth psychology, once emphasized that within every human being there exist layers of unconscious energies, and among them there is a special form of energy that belongs to women, feminine energy. This is not only gentleness, not only softness, but a field of force that makes men feel both safe and compelled to draw closer. Yet the paradox is this: although it has such haunting power, in today's society, very few women truly know how to touch and nurture this source of energy. In this video, we will explore why feminine energy touches the unconscious depths of men, why it is so rarely found, and more importantly, how you can cultivate this strength from within, not to hold on to someone, but to live in alignment with the essence that makes you naturally magnetic. Number 1. Feminine energy in Carl Jung's theory. There is a kind of allure that obsesses men, and that they themselves cannot explain. It does not lie in curves, in red lips, or in witty words. It is like the scent of a flower that does not strive to spread, yet anyone passing by has to pause. Carl Jung called this feminine energy, a very deep, ancient part of the human soul. According to Jung, every person, whether male or female, carries within them both streams of energy, masculine and feminine. Masculinity is outward, conquering, acting, decisive. Femininity is the opposite. It receives, nurtures, listens, and connects. If masculinity is like the radiant sun, direct and dazzling, femininity is like the gentle moon, mystical, reflecting light into places the sun cannot touch. What makes feminine energy so haunting to men is that it awakens a level of emotion that their rational mind cannot control. When a man senses that energy, he doesn't simply like or feel attracted. He is touched at a deeper, more primal layer within himself. He feels safe, curious, and compelled to approach, to discover. But Jung also emphasized, not every woman knows how to use this source of strength. If she becomes aware of it and nurtures it from a state of inner fullness, that energy will spread naturally, like an aura that men cannot ignore. But if she is unconscious of it, that energy can be driven by fears, lacks, or old wounds. Then, what should be magnetism turns into dependency or draws in relationships that repeat pain. Jung once said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate." In love, this means the energy you radiate, whether you know it or not, will determine exactly the kind of man you attract. And here is the fascinating point. There are women who, by society's standards, are not the most beautiful or striking. But when they enter a room, the atmosphere seems to change. Without displaying themselves, they still draw others, especially men, to unconsciously turn toward them. looks inside, awakes. When a woman is fully present, she is living in that awakened state. And it is precisely this awakened presence that makes men unforgettable. The interesting thing is, men can sense immediately when you are not present. If your mind is worrying about how you look, thinking of how to impress, or busy comparing yourself to other women, they will sense that discrepancy at the unconscious level. Jung said that the unconscious communicates with the unconscious, and this is absolutely true in male-female interaction. If within you there is insecurity, the other will feel it and respond, even if he doesn't realize why. Conversely, when you are fully present, your feminine energy becomes many times stronger. It is like a fragrance that does not try to spread, but fills the entire room, making men feel safe, attracted, and compelled to come closer. This is the kind of deep, lasting magnetism, the one that does not fade even when beauty changes, because it touches a primal part of the male soul. I recall once at an intimate party where people were talking noisily. Amid the crowd, there was a woman sitting by the window, the yellow light casting over her face. She was listening to a man's story, her eyes fully focused on him, not rushing, not interrupting, not over-expressing, only a serene but utterly real presence. I stood far away, but still saw clearly that the man gradually lowered his voice, spoke more slowly, as if caught in her breathing rhythm. Those around began glancing over, not because she did anything special, but because an invisible thread was pulling him toward her. That is the power of full presence, when you don't do anything, yet the other cannot leave the moment. But few women maintain this state long. Society teaches them to dress well, talk cleverly, create quick impressions, but rarely teaches them how to stay with themselves. Many lose presence by always trying to do something to hold attention, and the more they try, the less natural the energy becomes. They fall into two extremes, either too lacking, seeking looks, clinging to validation, or too excessive, forcing themselves to shine, overshadowing the space. Both make men feel pressured or unwilling to stay long. The ideal state is neither lacking nor excessive. That is when feminine energy is not mixed with the need to prove or the fear of being forgotten. That is when you send an unconscious signal, I am fine with or without you, but I value your presence. This is an attractive paradox, because precisely when you don't cling, that is when men want to cling. Neuroscience has proven that when two people truly connect, their brains synchronize in activity, neural coupling. This happens most strongly when both are present, meaning if you are truly in the moment, a man's brain will tune in with yours, making him remember you not only with images, but with feelings. And it is this feeling that becomes the lasting obsession. Full presence cannot be faked because the unconscious sees through. It only arises when you are full within and do not trade away your essence for attention. And it is precisely this that makes your feminine energy unique, not loud, not showy, but haunting and unforgettable. Next time you meet someone, especially a man you want to connect with, try once not to seek to impress. Just be present, listen, and let your energy do the rest. Very likely, that will be the first time he meets a woman he will never forget, not because of what she did, but because she was truly there. Do you believe that just being fully present, neither lacking nor excessive, is enough to haunt a man longer than beauty or words? Share your thoughts or experiences in the comments. Number 3. Keeping a part mysterious, the allure of the unknown. Is mere full presence enough to make you unforgettable? In fact, the allure is even stronger when you know how to keep a part for yourself, a mystery no one can touch immediately. Carl Jung emphasized that the human unconscious is always deeply attracted to unfinished, half-told stories, incomplete images. That gap stirs imagination and creates special allure. When a woman keeps for herself an unrevealed part, it awakens in men a quiet curiosity, urging them to explore and come closer. The less they can grasp, the more they are drawn into the journey of discovery, and this incompleteness itself becomes the source of prolonged obsession. Keeping mystery here is not playing cat and mouse or deliberately creating artificial drama. It is a conscious choice not to reveal everything about yourself in one encounter. You are still genuine, still warm, but you know what to let time and trust filter before revealing. This gap is not cold distance, but space for the other to discover you naturally. Imagine a good novel. Even if the author writes engagingly, they never reveal the entire story in the first few pages. They leave knots, hints, to make the reader want to keep turning. A woman who keeps mystery is the same. She doesn't tell all in the first meeting, doesn't pour out her heart just because a man seems caring. She lets things unfold slowly. No matter how beautiful or seductive another woman may be. So keeping mystery is not just a strategy to be attractive, but part of self-respect. It tells the world, I am valuable enough not to expose all at once. I allow others to know me at the pace I choose. This self-mastery is a rare form of feminine energy, an energy that does not beg for attention, but lets attention find her. And when your mystery is combined with full presence, the result is, the man not only wants to be near you, but wants to keep discovering you. Because in his eyes, you are not a story that has ended, but a living journey, familiar enough to feel safe, new enough to keep him going. Number 4. Not chasing, let him step forward. Once you have presence and mystery, your allure needs one more crucial element to become what obsesses men long-term: not chasing. It sounds simple, but practicing this is much harder than imagined, especially when your heart starts to stir. For instinct, when liking someone, is to move closer, to be more present in their life. But at this moment, holding your position and letting him take the initiative is what sustains the magnetism. Carl Jung said, "Man's task is to become conscious of that which presses upwards from the unconscious." Humans are driven by unconscious forces, and one of the strongest archetypes in men is the conqueror. Masculinity urges them outward, to seek and claim what they desire. When a woman is too easy, or constantly takes initiative beyond what is necessary, she inadvertently strips him of his right to conquer. And when that right is lost, the magnetism also fades, no matter how attractive she first appeared. Not chasing does not mean being cold or plain hard to get. It is actually an inner state of fullness, allowing you to stand firm without being driven to cling to affection or attention. Feminine energy here is the energy that creates space, so that masculine energy has a chance to move forward. In the dance of attraction, one needs to step back so the other can lead, and in most cases, it is the feminine that holds the backward rhythm. A friend once told me her story. She met a guy at a networking event. They had a great conversation. He asked for her number and often texted and invited her for coffee. But later, his texting frequency dropped, replies slower. Many women would worry and try harder to maintain contact, but she did differently. And when his conquest succeeds, that triumph feeling becomes tied to your image, making him want to repeat it. Not chasing also does not mean total silence. If you do that, he may think you don't care. Not chasing is knowing how to respond just enough, keeping connection without clinging. It is the art of creating distance so he misses you, yet keeping the thread so he knows when he steps in, you will be there. In truth, men value more what they must work for. When a woman gives herself too easily, a man's unconscious lowers the value of that relationship. Conversely, when you stand firm, keep your own rhythm, he must strive, and it is that striving that makes him value you more. It is like music. If all instruments sound at once from the beginning, the piece loses climax. But when the conductor knows when to keep an instrument silent and when to let it play, the music holds its pull from start to finish. In relationships too, feminine energy is not something that pours out constantly, but knows when to withdraw, to create space for the other to advance. The key is that you must be comfortable with this distance. If inside you are full of anxiety, fear of losing him, it will be hard to sustain not chasing. That is why the foundation is always inner fullness, having life, hobbies, work, and relationships that make you happy, so that a man's presence is an addition, not your sole source of life. When you live this way, not chasing, becomes natural, and the energy you radiate is serenity, not calculation. When you let him step forward, you give him the chance to fully live his masculinity. He gets to be proactive, to be challenged, to conquer. And when he overcomes that challenge, the prize, you, has far greater value in his eyes. This is not a power game, but a way for both to live in alignment with their true energies. You keep softness, receptivity, and he keeps strength, initiative. This harmony is what Jung called the balance of polar energies, where attraction becomes natural and lasting. And always remember, a man who truly wants to be with you will find a way to step forward, no matter the distance. Your task is not to chase to shorten that distance, but to hold firm and magnetic enough that when he arrives, he knows he has found something worthy. Connected to a deeper vitality within themselves. That magnetism comes not from outward beauty, but from touching the unconscious, where the anima resonates. In real life, I witnessed this in a very ordinary situation. A male friend said he was deeply impressed by a new female colleague. In a tense meeting where everyone argued, she didn't say much, just turned to him and softly said, "You must be tired. Have some water." The words were simple, but the way she looked at him, calm, caring, non-judgmental, made a warmth spread through him. "I don't know why," he said, "but in that moment, I felt like she really saw me, not just my role in the meeting." What he remembered was not the words, but the feeling of being understood at the right time. And that feeling, once anchored in the unconscious, becomes a form of obsession. Jung once wrote, "The meeting of two personalities is like the contact of two chemical substances. If there is any reaction, both are transformed." For men, this change often brings a lasting pull, because they rarely allow themselves to show soft emotions. A woman safe and genuine enough for them to do so will be etched in memory, even if they cannot explain it rationally. Emotional depth connection does not mean oversharing or flooding. It is presence through the heart, authentic responses and resonance, instead of trying to control impressions. Sometimes, a listening gaze, an unhurried silence, or a small timely kindness makes a man remember far more than long conversations. This magnetism, if nurtured, becomes the key to unlock a man's unconscious. And once his unconscious records you, then no matter how many encounters he later has, he will always remember that feeling, that there was once a woman who truly touched the deepest part of his soul. To cultivate this ability, you can start with simple practices. In conversation, put down your phone, look directly into his eyes and just listen, without rushing to answer. Each day, spend a few minutes writing your real emotions, joy, sadness, or confusion, so you get used to touching your own inner world before touching others. And in communication, let your care show through small but genuine gestures, like a smile, a short question, or an attentive gaze. It is this simplicity and sincerity that makes men feel you are not just a woman they met, but an emotional experience they want to stay in, to remember forever. And for this connection not to be swept away by fleeting emotions, a woman needs a frame of support, personal boundaries, because only by respecting her boundaries can she give feminine energy softly without losing value. Number 6. Respecting boundaries, gentle but firm. There is a paradox few women notice. The very boundaries you set, the seemingly small but firm refusals, are what haunt men long-term. For feminine energy, as Jung described, is not surrender or compliance to keep love. It is not only tender arms or unconditional agreement. When that energy is whole, it always comes with a frame, a limit, an inviolable principle. In men's eyes, that frame makes them unable to disregard you, because it directly reflects how much you respect yourself. Carl Jung once wrote, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are." For women, becoming oneself is not only living authentically, but also the ability to say no when necessary, refusing what is not aligned with core values. Then, feminine energy does not dilute into dependency, but becomes a form of allure, soft, yet not easy. When you are firm with boundaries, you send the unconscious signal, "I know my worth and will not accept less." Men may not put it into words, but their unconscious registers it instantly, and respect arises, the foundation of lasting attraction. One viewer of the channel once shared a story at a group coffee. A suave man kept inviting a girl out, saying vaguely, "When free, let's go for a drink." Many women would dodge or nod politely, but this girl was different. She smiled, looked straight in his eyes and said, "I don't drink with someone I don't know well yet. But if you want, we can dine with the group, then see." Not harsh, just a soft but clear boundary. That made him more interested, later actively creating proper meetups. This proves men are not haunted by easiness, but by consistent value frames. This aligns with Jung's law of unconscious compensation. What comes easily leaves little trace, while firmness imprints deeply. When a woman holds boundaries, she not only protects herself, but creates an energy field that makes men feel safe. Their unconscious understands, if you respect yourself, you will also maintain balance and honesty in love. Feminine energy, then, is not only soft, but rooted, both warm and solid. Look at Taylor Swift's life, and you'll see. Taylor is famous for loving wholeheartedly, writing from personal experience. But she is unafraid to end relationships when realizing incompatibility. Public opinion buzzes, but she never clings to a man just to keep image. On the contrary, her consistency with boundaries makes her ever more magnetic and a symbol of soft feminism. Is an art few masters, withdrawing at the right moment to leave resonance. How many women, among 100, truly dare to set boundaries and hold them, even at the risk of losing a relationship? Leave your number in the comments, and let's see what others think. Number 7. The art of timely withdrawal, leaving resonance. In love, sometimes what men remember forever is not endless hours, but the moment cut off earlier than they expected. Like watching a gripping film that ends on an open scene, the audience leaves with a restless feeling, both satisfied and eager for more. A woman who knows to stop at the best moment creates the same effect. She does not leave emptiness, but sows a lingering note that makes men crave return. Jung emphasized that the human unconscious clings to unfinished experiences. It is this incompletion that engraves and obsesses long after. Carl Jung pointed out that the unconscious is obsessed with the unfulfilled. When an encounter closes at climax, it is like music stopping at its most beautiful note, the melody echoing in the listener's mind long after. In love, knowing to retreat at the right time creates the same effect. Instead of saturating feelings, you sow resonance, an unanswered question, an anticipation for the next meeting. Imagine an oil painting half done. The artist stops while the colors are shifting between light and dark, leaving unfinished lines. The viewer cannot stop wondering, what would it be if finished? That dangling thought creates an invisible pull. In love, too, when a woman ends conversation, date, or her presence at the best moment, the man leaves feeling unsated, and that very not enough anchors deepest in his unconscious. Neuroscience explains this with the Zeigarnik effect, discovered by psychologist Bluma Zeigarnik. Humans remember unfinished tasks better than completed ones. When an experience ends mid-flow, the brain keeps open loops, seeking closure, thus creating obsession. This is why men remember a woman who stops while feelings peak, rather than dragging until the flame dies. A male friend once told me about an unforgettable experience. He went for a night walk with a woman. The talk was going so well that he thought they would sit for hours. But just then, she stood up with a gentle smile and said, "I have to go. Tomorrow is busy, but today was lovely." Don't drag until exhaustion. Stop while it still flows. When he craves to see you, select meaningful times, so space between meetings nurtures longing. When texting, don't make yourself always available 24/7, but show you have a rich life outside. Withdrawal here affirms, "I am whole and free, and if you want more, you must step in." A woman who cultivates her feminine energy is like an artist of subtlety in daily life. She doesn't need a dazzling stage or spotlight, only timing her presence, holding her value, and leaving just enough resonance. Each moment, each choice to advance or retreat, to give or hold, becomes strokes that draw men into an unpredictable journey. And this naturalness is what truly obsesses, for it cannot be copied or imitated. If you've ever wondered, what makes some women unforgettable? The answer is not perfect looks or polished skills. It lies in how they live fully in feminine energy, present but not excessive, gentle but with boundaries, mysterious but not distant, and knowing timely withdrawal. This is not a tactic to hold men, but a journey to becoming yourself, a whole magnetic being no one can replace. If you find the sharing in this video helps you understand more about the power of feminine energy, send it to a woman you think also needs to hear it. Perhaps one small suggestion may change how she sees herself. And don't forget to hit subscribe to continue accompanying us. There are many more wonders waiting on the journey back to the natural allure of your true essence. In love, we often yearn not only for someone's heart, but also for their mind. But is that truly love, or merely the ego demanding recognition? According to Carl Jung, to dwell deeply in a man's mind, you don't need to control or please. You need to awaken something in his unconscious, something that makes him no longer his old self, but a being unsettled by the light you reflect. To achieve this, you only need to be yourself, but the version of yourself that has stared into the darkness and is no longer afraid. So how do you touch the deepest layers of someone's mind without diminishing yourself? How do you become a symbol rather than just a fleeting face? In today's video, we will unravel the hidden unconscious mechanisms that govern emotions, attraction, and those seemingly fated connections between you and a man. We will delve into the deepest layers of the psyche, where archetypes operate silently. Join me until the end of this journey, because what you're about to discover will not only help you step into his mind, but also lead you back to the secret room within yourself. And it is there that you will learn how to never leave anyone's mind. Part 1. Recognizing the unconscious dangers of trying to hold onto someone. Number 1. The ego and the illusion of control. Carl Jung once said that the ego is merely the I at the conscious level, like the tip of an iceberg, while the vast majority of our soul lies hidden in the unconscious. Yet it is this small part that often speaks the loudest, seizing control of decisions and making us believe we are acting out of love, when, in reality, it is out of fear. When you desire to stay forever in a man's mind, pause and ask yourself, where does this voice come from? Is it the heart seeking genuine connection, or is it the ego whispering, demanding control and recognition? The ego is like a bird trapped in a glass cage. It flaps its wings relentlessly, creating echoes and the illusion that it commands the entire room. But in truth, it is only thrashing within a confined space that it fails to recognize. When you try to control how a man thinks of you, attempting to leave a mark in his memory by pleasing, seducing, or even exhausting yourself with sacrifices, that is the ego screaming. It wants one thing only, to have its name etched in another's mind as proof of its existence, of its worth. But here's the problem. The more you try to control, the more you lose your true power. It's like grasping sand in your hand. The tighter you squeeze, the more it slips away. A man's mind is not a door you can force open with strength or cunning. It is a terrain where only what touches the unconscious can leave a lasting imprint. And the ego, living on the surface of consciousness, can never achieve that. Consider those dramatic love stories where a woman strives to control every detail, where he goes, who he talks to, constantly testing strategies to make him never forget her. At first, she might succeed. He thinks of her, but not out of love, out of pressure, discomfort, or even fear. It's like a song you hear on repeat until it becomes an obsession. Eventually, you no longer love the melody, you just want to turn it off. The ego creates the illusion that forced presence yourself in a mirror. Perhaps it was a glance that made you feel exposed, a phrase that struck a hidden pain, or a moment of silence that felt utterly safe. Those things don't come from the ego, but from an unconscious resonance. And it is this resonance that makes someone linger forever in another's mind. Jung pointed out that the ego tends to equate love with possession. If he thinks of me, I am important. If I'm not in his mind, I am worthless. This is one of the ego's greatest deceptions. In reality, your worth doesn't depend on how long someone remembers you. It lies in how you've touched them. The ego seeks immortality by leaving a mark, but the soul is different. It seeks immortality by transforming the other. And you can only transform someone when you've dared to transform yourself. So instead of asking, "How do I stay in his mind forever?" ask, "What part of me craves this? Is it the call of love or the trembling of an ego afraid?" When you answer that question, you'll see that what you truly need is not control, but liberation. Liberation from the illusion that love is measured by your presence in someone else's mind. Liberation of the other from the role of carrying your insecurities. And above all, liberation of your unconscious to resonate authentically with another. Number 2, anima, animus, and projection. If the ego is the glass cage trapping us in the illusion of control, the projection of anima and animus is the mysterious mirror reflecting what we don't know about ourselves. This is the door through which many lose their way in love, believing they've seen the other when, in reality, they're only seeing a part of their unconscious. According to Carl Jung, every man carries an inner feminine image called the anima, and every woman carries an inner masculine image called the animus. These are not biological genders, but psychological archetypes. The anima embodies sensitivity, intuition, and emotion. The animus represents rationality, action, and purposeful strength. The trouble begins when we project these inner images onto real people, believing we've found our missing half. In truth, we don't love the person. We love the part of ourselves that hasn't yet come to life. Projection works like light shining on water. You think the reflection in the lake is the real sky. You might be so captivated that you want to dive in to touch the sky, but all you grasp is cold water. Countless relationships have crumbled for this reason. When the illusion fades, when the real person reveals their shadows, when disillusionment strikes, the love collapses. Not because the other became worse, but because we never truly saw them. We only saw ourselves in them. A common example in modern life is the intense crush, where you're swept away by someone you barely know. A smile, a few gestures, and you weave an entire story in your mind. He's intelligent, strong, will protect me, will bring me happiness. But if you look closely, you'll see that these qualities aren't necessarily ones he displayed. They're ones you projected onto him. He becomes a screen for your dreams. And those dreams stem from the animus, the inner masculine part of you, yearning for recognition. Jung warned that when projections dominate, we lose the ability to discern reality. The man you love isn't him, but a statue you've erected in your unconscious. And when that statue cracks, you fall into pain, feeling betrayed, though no one betrayed you. Only the illusion dissolved. This doesn't mean love is a lie. On the contrary, Jung saw projection as a necessary starting point for deep relationships. It's what draws us in, urging us closer to the other. But if we stop there, love remains an obsession with a shadow. Only when we dare to withdraw the projection, seeing the other as they truly are, with their imperfections and darkness, can the connection mature. That's when love becomes a true meeting of two souls. In life, countless women get trapped in this cycle. They love the hero image created by their animus, only to spiral into disappointment when they discover he's also weak, afraid, or selfish at times. But if they're brave enough, this is an opportunity to reconcile with their own animus. Instead of seeking strength in others, they realize that strength must be awakened within. And paradoxically, it's at that moment they become more captivating than ever, because they no longer love from a place of lack, but from a place of fullness. The same happens to men when they project their anima onto women. He loves the image of a gentle, empathetic woman, a goddess of salvation. But when she reveals anger, selfishness, or complexity, he feels deceived. In reality, no one deceived him. Only the anima's shadow faded, leaving the real person demanding to be seen. If he dares to face this, he'll learn to connect with his own emotions, intuition, and inner world. Have you ever realized you've loved an illusion you created yourself? If so, share that story, because perhaps, by naming the illusion, you've already begun the journey to break free from it. So how do you step out of projection? Jung suggests the first step is awareness. Recognizing that your intense feelings unconscious. When you exist in a man's life as a symbol, you don't just touch his surface thoughts. You activate a current in his unconscious, where the primal archetypes of humanity reside. In other words, you cease to be just a woman he met. You become a bridge for him to confront his darkness and light within. Think of a teacher or friend you can never forget, not because they were perfect or always pleased you, but because in a moment they became a symbol of something greater than themselves. Perhaps a symbol of courage when you were weak, of understanding when you were lost, or of truth when you lived in pretense. You don't remember them as an individual. you remember them as a symbol that changed you. And that is how you must exist in love if you want to be etched deeply into a man's mind. Sadly, many women choose the opposite path. They turn themselves into tools to cling to affection, becoming overly submissive, overly calculated, or overly accommodating. But a tool, no matter how refined, is only valuable while it serves a purpose. Once its purpose is fulfilled or its novelty fades, it is discarded. And then, being forgotten is inevitable. Worse still, becoming a tool distances you from yourself, like an actor playing a role so long they forget their true face. In contrast, becoming a symbol requires living authentically, without pretense or conformity. Jung called this individuation, the journey to become the fullest version of yourself. A woman who has reconciled with her darkness, dared to face her wounds, and lived in truth naturally radiates an energy that a man cannot ignore. He doesn't remember her for what she did for him, but for what she represents. A truth he hasn't dared to face, or a light he longs to find. A tool is like a note in a commercial song, catchy but fleeting. A symbol is like an ancient chord, perhaps unfamiliar at first, but the more you listen, the more it resonates in your veins. When you become a symbol, you touch the collective unconscious, awakening in him the timeless memories of humanity, the lover, the mother, the teacher, the guide. This is why some men, despite countless relationships, cannot forget a woman who made them confront their souls. One of my channel's followers once shared a story that perfectly illustrates the difference between a tool and a symbol. She recounted how, in a long-term relationship, she tried to be the perfect woman in her boyfriend's eyes. She always yielded, anticipated his desires, and tailored everything, from her appearance to her speech to her hobbies, to please him. For 3 years, she lived as a sophisticated tool, believing that the more she satisfied him, the more attached he would be. But paradoxically, he grew more distant, and one day, when they broke up, he moved on to someone else without hesitation. She was stunned, heartbroken, and felt she had never left a mark on his life. Yet, in that period of pain, she began to change. She started looking inward. When did I disappear to become a shadow pleasing him? She focused on herself, learning what she had always wanted to learn, trying experiences she had feared, daring to express the anger or sadness she had always suppressed. She gradually became a different version of herself, whole, sharp, authentic. Years later, she ran into her ex at a friendly gathering. He looked at her strangely, unable to hide his fascination. Later, he texted her, "You've changed. I can't stop thinking about you since that day." Notice this. To become a symbol, you don't need to strain. On the contrary, you must let go of the ego's performances, abandon being a tool to please. A symbol is never born from effort. It arises from authenticity, from daring to live true to your essence, even if it means being misunderstood or unaccepted. As Jung said, the privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. When you truly live as yourself, you become a mirror that forces others to confront themselves. And in that moment, you become a symbol in their unconscious. The key thing to remember is, you cannot control what symbol you become in someone else's eyes. One man might see you as a symbol of freedom, another as a symbol of challenge or darkness. But it is this truth that makes you irreplaceable. Tools can be replicated, symbols cannot. and only what cannot be replicated endures in another's mind. Lesson 2. Communicate through depth, not surface. But how does one truly become a symbol? The answer lies in the quality of communication. Not surface-level flattery, but dialogues that touch the depths of the unconscious. Because what only reaches the ears is easily forgotten, while what touches the soul lingers forever. Carl Jung said that every person has unlit corners, deep layers no one has ever dared to ask about. When someone else dares to enter those forbidden territories with authentic presence, they instantly become irreplaceable. A man may forget countless small talks or thousands of flirtations, but he will never forget the moment someone saw his hidden fear or dared to touch a dream he never voiced. Surface communication is like said goodbye and went their separate ways, not keeping in regular contact afterward. But years later, whenever he thinks back, he vividly recalls her gaze and that unexpected question. Not because she was an exceptionally captivating woman, or because a secret romance unfolded, but because in those few hours she dared to communicate at a depth that touched the part of his soul no one else had seen. And that moment, his unconscious remembered forever. Such moments pass quickly, but in the unconscious, they smolder eternally. Notice how the simplest things often leave the deepest echoes. This is the essence of what Jung called communication through depth. It's not a technique or a trick, but the courage to be fully present as your true self, thereby awakening in the other the part they fear to face. Modern psychology confirms this. When a conversation evokes strong emotions or relates to personal identity, the human brain activates the region responsible for long-term memory. In other words, interactions that touch the true self are etched into the brain as part of the person's very being. This explains why those who connect with us at a deep level become unforgettable. Jung believed that we all crave such a connection, one that goes beyond words through presence, energy, and gaze. This is the communication of souls, not egos. When you dare to step into that depth, you don't just become a memory in a man's mind. You become part of his individuation process, the journey that forces him to confront, accept, and grow from his encounter with you. In the end, remember, surface communication is the safe zone where anyone can exist. But deep communication is a dangerous territory where you risk rejection, exposure, or even hurt. Yet it is also the only territory where souls truly meet. And when two souls meet at that depth, no matter how time sweeps everything away, the trace of that encounter will never fade. Lesson 3. Awakening the archetype in him. But that depth doesn't stop at touching personal fears or dreams. According to Carl Jung, when you truly step into someone's inner world, you can also awaken the ancient archetypes lying dormant within them. And in the moment those archetypes are stirred, you cease to be just a person in his memory and become a symbol tied to a primal force, something that cannot fade. Archetypes, as Jung described, are like immortal characters in an eternal play that we are all part of. The hero, the lover, the teacher, the mother, the betrayer, these images don't belong to any one person. They reside in the collective unconscious of humanity. When you activate an archetype in him, you inadvertently awaken a part deep within the history of the human soul. That's why such a connection is so powerful and unforgettable. Imagine you're not just talking to a man named A, but you're unknowingly touching the hero latent within him, the yearning to protect, conquer, or overcome challenges. Or you awaken the lover, the part that craves deep connection beyond mere physical attraction. Or perhaps you stir the wise man, the desire for understanding and meaning. When an archetype is awakened, you instantly become the key holder, the one tied to that experience in his unconscious. Think of it like a dormant volcano. On the surface, it seems like a lifeless mass of stone. But with a single spark, the primal power within erupts. Archetypes in the human psyche are similar. They can lie dormant for decades, waiting for a moment to be awakened. And if you are the one who ignites that volcano, you will forever be etched in his unconscious as the one who unleashed the molten flow. What's fascinating is that archetypes aren't always light. Sometimes you awaken the darkness within him, like the shadow warrior or the wanderer. For example, a woman once shared with me the story of her brief romance. She didn't intend it, but her rebelliousness and carefree way of living awakened in her partner a buried instinct for adventure. As a result, though their relationship didn't last, he couldn't forget her because she became a symbol of the wild freedom within him, something he had never dared to pursue. Jung would say, "You don't need to control which archetype is awakened. What matters is how authentically you live, and that authenticity will naturally touch the right archetype in his unconscious. If you're inauthentic, you create only a fleeting impression. But if you live true to your essence, the archetype within you will resonate, and once it resonates, it never fades." Modern psychology supports this view. When an experience touches the core symbols in the brain, it isn't just stored as a memory, it becomes part of the structure of identity. The man doesn't just remember you, he remembers himself in the moment you awakened an archetype within him. And that is the most enduring mark, because you've become part of his psychological growth. Think of the films, novels, or myths that have haunted you, not because the protagonist resembled you in real life, but because they awakened an archetype within you. Perhaps the hero you dream of being, or the wanderer you long to become. Love is the same. A woman can become a personal myth. Mask your fear of abandonment. Jung once said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate." As long as you remain unaware that this dependency stems from the unconscious, from unhealed wounds of abandonment or shadows yet to be faced, you'll continue to mistake this cycle for destiny. You'll think you can't live without him, when in truth, you're only unable to live without the feeling he inadvertently triggered. Individuation is when you realize love is not clinging, but meeting. And for a true meeting, you must stand on your own 2 feet. Imagine you and him as 2 pillars supporting a dome. If one pillar is weak, the dome will collapse. But when both pillars are strong, the dome becomes an immortal structure. In love, it's the same. If you haven't become a whole individual, you'll lean your entire weight on the other, and love will inevitably crumble. A friend of mine once learned this lesson. She dated a successful man and quickly found herself living for him in every way. His recognition fueled her confidence. His presence gave her daily joy. At first she felt fulfilled, believing love had made her whole. But then she noticed, when he was busy, she felt meaningless. When he criticized her, she felt shattered. And when he grew distant, she barely knew who she was anymore. She was sucked into a vortex of dependency, losing her sense of self. Only when the relationship ended was she forced to face herself. Instead of seeking another man to fill the void, she began a difficult journey: therapy, journaling, and learning to listen to the dreams and symbols of her unconscious. She realized that what she sought in him, recognition, protection, safety, was her unintegrated animus within. And as she began to find those qualities in herself, she no longer needed anyone else to prove her worth. That was the moment she stepped into individuation. Individuation isn't about becoming perfect. It's about accepting both the light two people. It's the journey of each individual with their unconscious, where light and shadow coexist. You don't need to stay in a man's mind to prove your worth. When you become your true, whole self, you are already an indelible mark. Remember, the deepest mark you can leave in someone's life is not a forced presence, but the transformation you ignite in them. And the greatest paradox is this: when you no longer crave to stay in someone's mind, you become an unforgettable part of them. Ultimately, this journey isn't just about loving another more deeply, but about learning to love yourself fully, leaving an eternal trace in both mind and soul.